Commander Elias Stone stood at the edge of the Starship Odyssey's landing platform, his eyes scanning the alien landscape spread before him. The planet, unnamed by human charts, gleamed under the light of two suns, casting long golden and pink shadows across forests of strange, towering trees. Their trunks were transparent in parts, revealing veins of glowing liquid coursing within. Between them, plants with delicate leaves sparkled like embedded jewels, and the air shimmered with tiny motes of light, drifting lazily like floating stars. Elias felt a chill of awe and wonder run through him. No picture, no simulation could capture the beauty of this world. "Steady," he muttered to himself, adjusting the straps of his exploration suit. The voice of Lieutenant Kara Duval, his second-in-command, crackled in his earpiece. "Commander, sensors indicate no immediate danger. Atmospheric readings are stable. You're clear to proceed with surface survey," she said, her tone calm yet tinged with excitement. "Copy that," Elias replied. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, the soles of his boots pressing into a soft, spongy ground that glimmered faintly under his weight. Each step made the light ripple, almost like the forest was alive, sensing him. As he moved, he couldn't help but speak to himself, a habit he had developed on long missions to distant worlds. "So beautiful," he whispered, barely above the sound of his own breathing. The words hung in the air, meant only for him, an acknowledgement of the sheer wonder around him. He didn't notice the subtle movement among the crystal trees. A figure watched him from a distance, almost blending into the light. She was slender and tall, with pale, almost translucent skin that reflected the dual suns, and hair that seemed to shimmer like liquid silver. Her eyes, wide and curious, studied him with careful intensity. Elias would never know her gaze was on him yet, but she was as captivated by his presence as he was by the forest. The human moved with care, documenting the environment as he went. He collected samples of glowing plants, sketched the crystalline structures of alien fungi, and recorded the light patterns in the forest canopy. Everything was new, everything was strange, and yet everything filled him with a sense of belonging he had never felt on Earth. A soft rustle behind him made Elias pause. He turned, scanning the forest, but found nothing. "Probably just the wind," he muttered, though the movement had seemed purposeful, almost like something alive moving silently between the trees. He shook his head and continued, unaware that the figure he had glimpsed earlier was stepping closer, curious and cautious. Hours passed. Elias felt the thrill of exploration sharpen his senses. Every sound, every color, every vibration of the ground beneath his boots seemed magnified. He began noticing small details. The gentle pulse of light traveling through the plant veins, tiny creatures flitting between the flowers, their bodies refracting light like crystals. The planet's ecosystem seemed to be alive in a way humans had never encountered, intelligent in its balance, careful in its movement. Elias's heart raced as he approached a clearing where a waterfall flowed into a river of shimmering liquid. The water was clear but seemed to ripple with colors not found in any human spectrum. He knelt at the edge and dipped his gloved hand into the stream. The liquid was cool, almost like a soft metal, yet it left no residue. He laughed softly, a sound of pure joy. "This is amazing," he whispered, unaware that the alien figure was now only a few meters behind him. Her presence, completely hidden in the way she had learned to blend with the environment. The forest held its breath. Elias felt a sudden breeze brush past him, carrying the faintest scent of something sweet, floral, and entirely unfamiliar. He sniffed the air, curious, and then froze. The rustling was no longer random. It was deliberate, rhythmic. Something or someone was moving around him, circling, observing. "Hello?" he called gently, his voice low. "I mean no harm. I'm just exploring." There was no response. Yet the feeling of being watched grew stronger. He rose slowly, keeping his hands visible, instinctively signaling peace. He knew that on Earth, humans had always relied on body language to communicate across cultures. Maybe this approach would work here too. The alien woman tilted her head slightly, studying him. She could feel his intentions. Unlike humans, her species could sense subtle shifts in emotions. But she had never encountered a being like this before. His presence radiated curiosity, intelligence, and something she had learned from observing humans over many cycles: courage. But it was a courage tempered by respect, not domination, that made him different, remarkable. Elias began to move deeper into the clearing, and she mirrored him from a distance. His eyes caught glimmers of movement in the corner of his vision. But each time he turned, he found nothing. He smiled to himself, thinking the planet was playing tricks on his perception. Yet, deep down, he felt a connection forming, an unspoken acknowledgement that he was not entirely alone. He sat on a smooth rock near the edge of the waterfall, sketching the surroundings in his datapad. His hands moved almost instinctively, capturing the shapes, the light, the flow of life around him. Every stroke, every note he made seemed to echo in the silent forest. The alien woman stepped closer, curious about the strange instruments he carried. She watched the way he observed, the way he touched the world without harming it. She did not understand everything, but she sensed that this human was different from others she had watched in passing on distant observation satellites. He carried respect, fascination, and an energy that was almost contagious. Elias felt a subtle shift in the air but could not place it. He paused, listening to the forest. The usual gentle hum of life seemed to intensify, as if the planet itself was aware of her presence. He frowned, feeling a mix of anticipation and caution. "Who's there?" he asked softly, yet firmly. "I know someone is here. I don't want to scare you." The alien woman hesitated, uncertain. Humans were unpredictable, but he did not seem threatening. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she stepped into a patch of sunlight. The light caught her features, revealing her silhouette. Elias's breath caught in his throat. He froze, realizing he was not imagining the presence he had felt all day. Their eyes met, hers wide with curiosity, his with awe and respect. Neither moved, neither spoke, yet communication passed between them in a way that transcended language. He could see the intelligence behind her gaze, the life experience she carried, and in that moment, he understood something profound. This was a being capable of thought, emotion, and perhaps friendship. Elias raised a hand slowly, palm out, in a universal gesture of peace. The alien mirrored him, almost instinctively, as if understanding the meaning behind the motion. It was a small act, but it bridged the gap between two worlds. Time seemed to stretch. The forest around them glowed, the water sparkled, and the air itself felt charged with possibility. Elias whispered again, almost to himself, "So beautiful." But this time, the words carried a double meaning. Not only the beauty of the planet but the beauty of the encounter, the beginning of something entirely new and unknown. The alien woman tilted her head, sensing the emotion in his voice. She could not speak in his language, but she understood the intent. It was not fear, not greed, not curiosity alone. It was respect and admiration, something rare and valuable. As the suns began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the forest, Elias finally broke the silence. "I don't know what you are," he said softly, "but I want to learn. I want to understand." For a moment, the alien woman considered retreating, wary of this strange human with his odd customs and strange ways. But then, she sensed the truth in his words. He would not harm her, nor her world. There was a promise in him, a spark that humans carried in abundance, the spark of hope, ingenuity, and courage. She stepped fully into the light, revealing herself completely for the first time. Elias's eyes widened, not in fear, but in recognition of something extraordinary. She was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Yet there was a grace and intelligence in her that mirrored humanity's own potential. The two of them stood there, facing each other in the heart of a foreign world. The forest around them pulsed with life, quiet and watchful. Elias felt the weight of history and possibility pressing gently on him. This encounter was not just about discovery, it was about connection, understanding, and the fragile beginnings of trust between two entirely different species. And in that moment, Elias knew that this day, this meeting, would change the course of human exploration forever. He had not yet spoken a word that could be understood, but he had already made contact, and sometimes, contact begins with a whisper, a gaze, and the courage to say what the heart truly feels. Elias could hardly believe his eyes. The alien woman stood before him, her skin catching the fading light of the twin suns, making her appear almost like a living crystal. Her eyes were wide and intelligent, reflecting curiosity and caution. Elias instinctively lowered his hands, showing that he meant no harm. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath. The usual rustle of leaves, the distant calls of alien creatures, even the gentle hum of the planet itself had quieted, as if witnessing this extraordinary moment. Elias knew that first impressions were crucial, not just between humans but between species. He wanted this encounter to be peaceful, meaningful, and respectful. Slowly, he took a step forward, careful not to startle her. The alien mirrored his movement, stepping lightly, almost as if the ground beneath her feet welcomed her presence. Elias stopped a few meters away, raising a gloved hand slightly, palm facing outward. It was a universal sign of peace, one humans often used when approaching unknown animals or cautious individuals. She paused, watching him, and then raised her own hand in a mirrored gesture. Elias felt a small thrill. Communication, even without words, was possible. A connection had begun to form. "I'm Elias," he said softly, testing the sound of his voice in this strange new world. "I come from Earth. I mean no harm." The alien's eyes narrowed slightly, a sign of concentration. She did not speak in any language he knew, but she emitted a soft, melodic hum, a sound that seemed to resonate in the air around them. It was not threatening. In fact, it carried warmth, a cautious friendliness. Elias smiled. "I think you understand me," he said, feeling a sense of wonder he had not felt since childhood. Staring up at the stars, he moved a little closer, showing her the small tools and equipment he carried. "These are for study, for learning. Nothing else." The alien watched intently. Her eyes flicked over the instruments, the containers with plant samples, and the device he used to record observations. Then she extended one hand, fingers long and delicate, toward a small holographic projector Elias had brought to display data. Tentatively, she touched the air near the light, and it reacted. The holographic display shifted, responding to her touch as if it recognized her presence. Elias blinked. This species interacted with technology in ways humans had never imagined. "You're intelligent," he said, marveling at her adaptability. I didn't expect that." She tilted her head, and Elias thought he detected what could almost be considered a smile. There was curiosity, certainly, and perhaps amusement. He realized that both of them were learning about each other, testing boundaries carefully. Every movement mattered. Every sound carried meaning. Hours passed as Elias and the alien explored the clearing together. He showed her how he took plant samples, how he recorded data, and how he mapped the terrain. She watched with intense focus, sometimes moving her hands in ways that influenced his instruments, altering displays or recording observations in ways he hadn't anticipated. Elias realized that this world, and its inhabitants, might have capabilities far beyond human understanding. The sun sank lower, painting the forest in hues of amber and rose. Elias paused at the edge of a crystal-clear stream that flowed from a nearby waterfall. The water shimmered with colors he had never seen, shifting from deep blue to violet to faint gold as it flowed over smooth stones. He knelt and dipped his hand into the stream. "It's incredible," he whispered, I have never touched anything like this before. The alien crouched beside him, placing her fingers near the water's surface. She watched the ripples closely, then looked at Elias as if to share the discovery. He smiled at her, a simple gesture, and she responded with a soft hum, her version of laughter. It was light, musical, and somehow joyful. They sat together in silence for a long while, observing the stream and the glowing flora around them. Elias realized that communication didn't always require words. Shared experiences, shared wonder, could speak as clearly as any language. He found himself fascinated not only by her presence but by the possibility of learning from her species. As the light faded further, Elias noticed something in the distance, a faint movement, subtle, deliberate. He frowned, wondering if it was a creature or another member of her species. He didn't want to alarm her. "Stay close," he murmured, not knowing if she understood his words, but knowing that intent could be sensed. The alien stood and glided toward the movement with remarkable grace. Elias followed, careful not to disturb the environment. Soon, they reached a dense grove, where the trees formed a natural canopy. In the shadows, more figures emerged, smaller, less imposing, yet equally beautiful. The alien turned toward Elias, and he sensed the silent communication. These were her kin, and they were observing him as cautiously as he had observed her. Elias lifted his hands again, open and non-threatening. "I'm a friend," he said quietly. "I mean no harm." The figures paused. Slowly, one stepped forward, smaller than the first, and examined Elias closely. He noticed a shared intelligence in their eyes, a kind of curiosity he had seen in humans but refined in different ways. They were cautious, but not hostile. Elias felt a wave of relief wash over him. He realized that trust would have to be earned, not demanded. Human history was full of mistakes, of violence and misunderstandings. But here was an opportunity to begin anew, to show that humans could approach other species with respect, curiosity, and empathy. For the next several hours, Elias moved among them carefully, observing without touching, speaking without demanding. The alien who had first approached him guided him with subtle gestures, directing him toward safe paths, toward points of interest in the grove. He followed, marveling at her patience and intelligence. They reached a clearing where the plants glowed more brightly, bathing the space in soft light. The alien extended a hand toward a particularly vibrant flower. Elias followed her gesture and gently touched it. The plant responded, opening delicate petals that emitted a soft, warm glow. Elias laughed softly, overwhelmed with awe. "Your world is alive, in a way I have never known," he whispered. "Every part of it seems to respond to thought, to intention." The alien's eyes met his. He felt as if she understood not just his words but his feelings. She had been observing humans for a long time, studying behavior and emotion. Now, in this moment, she recognized him as different, someone who could learn, adapt, and perhaps be a true friend to her people. As the first stars began to appear in the sky above, Elias and the alien returned to the edge of the stream. He set down his instruments and simply observed. The alien crouched beside him, and for a long time, neither spoke. They shared the silence, the wonder, and the quiet rhythm of life around them. Elias thought of Earth, of the cities and people he had left behind. He realized that, for all of humanity's achievements, they had never encountered a world like this, a life form like her, or a moment like this. And yet, he felt no fear, only curiosity, respect, and a profound sense of responsibility. "They trust me," he said softly, speaking more to himself than to anyone else. "And I have to prove that humans can be worthy of that trust." The alien tilted her head, acknowledging his words in her own way. Though she did not speak, Elias felt the depth of her understanding. She sensed his intentions, the integrity of his heart, and the sincerity of his curiosity. Night fully descended over the forest, and the glow of the plants and bioluminescent creatures created a soft, magical illumination. Elias lay down on the soft moss, observing the sky through the gaps in the canopy. Above him, stars stretched across the heavens, more numerous and vibrant than he had ever seen. He felt a connection not only to this planet, but to the alien woman beside him, to the possibilities of understanding and friendship across worlds. The alien watched him for a moment, then rested nearby. Her presence was gentle, protective, and curious. Elias felt an unspoken promise in her posture, the promise of learning, of shared discovery, and of cautious trust that could grow into friendship. As he closed his eyes for a brief rest, Elias whispered once more, almost to the universe itself, "So beautiful." The words now carried deeper meaning. It was not just the beauty of the world around him, but the beauty of connection, of courage, and of a future where humans might not only explore the stars, but also earn a place among them as friends, allies, and learners. And in the quiet, illuminated by the soft glow of the alien forest, Elias and the alien woman began a journey that neither species had expected, a journey of understanding, trust, and the slow unfolding of something extraordinary, the beginning of a bond between two intelligent beings, from worlds apart, united by curiosity, respect, and the shared wonder of life itself. Elias woke to a gentle glow, filtering through the alien forest. The twin suns were rising, casting soft light on the crystalline trees and shimmering plants. He stretched, feeling the softness of the moss beneath him, and noticed the alien woman already moving nearby. She seemed to glide rather than walk, her movements fluid and graceful, almost as if she were part of the forest itself. Elias rose carefully, not wanting to startle her. "Good morning," he said softly. She turned her head slightly, acknowledging him with the faintest hum, a sound that now felt comforting rather than mysterious. He smiled. Over the past cycle, he had come to understand that this sound expressed curiosity, recognition, and sometimes a kind of joy. He packed a few samples from the previous day into secure containers and checked his equipment. Today, he intended to explore further into the alien settlement that he had glimpsed in the distance the day before. From the patterns of energy he had observed with his sensors, he guessed that the alien woman's people lived in structures that were integrated with the natural environment, harmonizing with the glowing plants and flowing streams. She seemed to sense his intention and began moving toward the settlement. Elias followed, careful to maintain a respectful distance. Every step deeper into the forest revealed new wonders, flowers that shifted colors depending on the angle of light, vines that responded to touch by curling gently, and creatures with delicate wings that refracted sunlight into miniature rainbows. Elias felt like a child discovering a fairy world, but one that was alive, aware, and intelligent. The alien woman led him along a winding path that opened into a vast clearing. There, structures rose from the ground, not built but grown, with walls that seemed to pulse with soft light, and roofs that mirrored the crystalline canopy above. Elias marveled at the architecture. It was elegant, functional, and beautiful beyond anything he had imagined. The buildings appeared to breathe, expanding and contracting subtly. As if alive, she gestured toward one of the structures, inviting him to approach. Elias stepped forward carefully, running a hand along the smooth, warm surface. It was hard but pliable, like living stone, yet alive in a way he could not explain. Inside, the space was open and luminous, filled with soft light and the gentle hum of energy. The alien woman moved confidently, showing him that this was a place of life, study, and interaction. As he explored, Elias noticed patterns etched into the walls, like symbols or messages. He approached one and traced it with his finger. Immediately, the symbol responded, glowing brighter. It projected images in the air, scenes of alien history, landscapes, and people. Elias watched, fascinated, realizing that this species had a sophisticated way of recording and sharing knowledge, one that did not rely solely on words. The alien woman observed his reaction closely. She seemed pleased that he understood, or at least appreciated, the significance of what he was seeing. Elias felt a growing respect for her species. Their intelligence, their culture, and their harmony with their world were extraordinary. And yet, what struck him most was how open they seemed to sharing knowledge with someone so different. "This is amazing," he whispered, gesturing toward the floating images. "Your people, you have preserved so much, so beautifully." The alien responded with a soft hum and motioned for him to follow deeper into the settlement. As they moved, Elias began to realize that this world operated on principles humans had not yet mastered: cooperation, observation, and adaptation. Nothing was wasted, nothing was destructive. He felt a twinge of humility, thinking of Earth and the ways humans had often harmed their own world. In the central chamber, more of her people gathered. They were cautious but curious, their eyes reflecting the same intelligence and wonder Elias had already seen in the woman who had first approached him. They studied him as much as he studied them. Silent, deliberate, and respectful. Elias lifted his hands in greeting, and several of them mimicked him. It was a small act, but it created a bridge of understanding. He took a deep breath and began to speak. "I come from Earth. My people. We want to learn, to understand, and to respect your world. We do not wish to harm you or your home. I hope we can share knowledge, and maybe, in time, friendship." The alien woman stepped forward, placing her hand lightly on a glowing surface. The chamber responded, projecting more images humans in various activities: buildings, rivers, and forests. Elias realized that she was showing him her understanding of humans, based on long observation. She had studied them from afar, learning about their history, their strengths, and their mistakes. And now, in her own way, she was assessing whether humans could be trusted. Elias felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. This was not just exploration. This was a test of humanity itself, a moment where their values, courage, and empathy were being observed by an intelligent species. And he was the first human to be measured. He chose his words carefully. Humans. We are not perfect. We have made mistakes. We have sometimes hurt each other and the world. But we also have courage, creativity, and a desire to do good. I hope that is what you see in me, and in time, in all of us. The alien woman emitted a long, melodic hum, and Elias felt a warmth in the air, almost as if the forest itself was responding. Her eyes softened, reflecting what he could only interpret as approval. She gestured for him to follow again. Deeper into the chamber, they reached an open balcony overlooking a garden filled with plants that glowed with gentle, shifting colors. Elias could see the thought and care that had gone into cultivating each plant, the harmony with the structures around them, and the beauty of a society that lived without destruction. The alien woman walked alongside him, pointing out details, sharing what seemed to be stories through gestures and melodic sounds. Elias watched closely, trying to absorb every detail. Suddenly, a subtle vibration ran through the ground. Elias paused, noticing the alien woman stiffen slightly. She turned her head, scanning the horizon. He followed her gaze and saw movement at the edge of the settlement, figures approaching from a distance. They moved quickly, their forms less refined, more aggressive. Elias felt a flicker of tension. The alien woman turned to him, eyes wide but calm. He understood instantly. These were outsiders, and their presence was a potential threat. He rose, instinctively positioning himself between the alien and the approaching figures, though he knew words alone would be important. "They will not harm us if we show respect," he whispered to her, though she could not understand his words. He relied on his tone, his posture, and his calm presence. Humans had learned over centuries that courage and composure could prevent conflict, and now he hoped that principle would hold across species. As the figures drew closer, Elias observed them carefully. They were larger, more imposing, and their movements were sharp and deliberate. But he noticed something in their formation: they were not immediately attacking. They were testing, probing, assessing. Elias understood that he had to act quickly to prevent unnecessary hostility. He stepped forward, raising his hands slowly. "We mean no harm," he said clearly, loud enough for the approaching figures to hear. He kept his movements calm, deliberate, showing neither fear nor aggression. The alien woman mirrored him subtly, a sign of solidarity and trust. The outsiders paused. Their leader, a tall figure with deep, piercing eyes, studied Elias carefully. For a tense moment, nothing moved. Then, almost imperceptibly, the figure relaxed slightly. Elias realized that communication, even without shared language, was possible through intention, body language, and calm presence. Slowly, the outsiders moved closer, circling the area but not attacking. Elias maintained his position, ensuring that the alien woman and her people remained safe. Over time, the tension eased, and he felt the silent acknowledgement of mutual respect forming between the species. The alien woman touched Elias lightly on the arm, a gesture that conveyed gratitude and trust. He nodded, understanding that this was the result of patience, observation, and calm action, the qualities that humanity often valued in moments of first contact. After a long moment, the outsiders retreated, moving away from the settlement. Elias felt a deep sense of relief and accomplishment. He had not only protected the alien people but also demonstrated that humans could act with courage, intelligence, and restraint. As the light of the twin suns strengthened, the alien woman led Elias back into the heart of the settlement. He followed, noting the lessons he had learned. Trust had to be earned, understanding required patience, and courage, combined with empathy, could bridge even the greatest divides. Sitting together once more by the glowing stream, Elias reflected on the events of the day. He realized that exploration was not just about discovery of land, plants, or creatures. It was about understanding life, intelligence, and connection. The alien woman had shown him a world that was alive in every sense of the word, and he, in turn, had shown her that humans could be more than observers, they could be partners. The alien woman emitted a long, soft hum, and Elias smiled, understanding its meaning. In her way, she was acknowledging their shared experience, the beginning of trust, and the promise of continued learning. Elias lay back on the moss, looking up at the canopy and the brightening sky. He thought of Earth, of his crew, and of the humans who would one day follow in his footsteps. He realized that this encounter was not just personal, it was symbolic. Humanity's potential to connect, to understand, and to coexist peacefully with other intelligent species had been proven in the smallest way, but profoundly. The alien woman settled nearby, and for a long while, they watched the light play across the forest, the colors shifting, reflecting life, energy, and possibility. Elias knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps more encounters, but he felt ready, strengthened by this first bond, by the recognition that humans could inspire trust and respect even in the most unfamiliar of worlds. And in that quiet moment, illuminated by the soft glow of plants and the rising suns, Elias felt a sense of hope unlike any he had known. Humans were capable of wonder, courage, and understanding. They were capable of friendship, even across the vastness of space. And in the alien woman's presence, he felt that this was only the beginning of something extraordinary, a journey that could change both species forever. The morning light spread gently over the alien forest, and Elias stood at the edge of the settlement, looking out across the glowing trees and flowing streams. The twin suns had risen high, bathing the crystalline structures in soft warmth. Today felt different from the past days. There was a sense of purpose in the air, a quiet energy that seemed to hum through the ground and plants around him. The alien woman was beside him, moving with her usual grace. She watched the forest, and then looked at Elias, her expression almost human in its attentiveness. Over the past cycles, their trust had grown. Words had been few, but understanding had been deep. Elias knew that their bond, fragile as it had begun, was now strong enough to face the challenges ahead. "They are ready," Elias whispered to himself, sensing that her people had begun to accept him not just as a visitor but as a partner. He took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. Humanity's presence here was new, delicate, and meaningful. The actions of one human could influence perceptions of an entire species. The alien woman turned and gestured toward the main chamber of the settlement. Elias followed. Inside, her people had gathered in a semicircle, observing him as he approached. He lifted his hands in greeting, his posture calm, showing that he was here to share, not to take. The alien woman mirrored him subtly, reinforcing the gesture. He spoke carefully, choosing words he hoped would bridge the gap between species. I have learned much in your world. Your people are wise. Your culture is extraordinary. I hope to share knowledge as friends, not as conquerors. The aliens responded with melodic sounds and gestures that he had come to understand as approval and interest. Elias felt a thrill of hope. For the first time, he realized that humans could truly participate in a wider galaxy of intelligent beings, not as aggressors or intruders, but as learners, explorers, and allies. As the day progressed, Elias followed the alien woman and her people through the settlement. They showed him areas where their society gathered, worked, and celebrated. Every place seemed alive, not just in the literal sense, but with harmony and purpose. The buildings breathed with energy. The plants responded to touch and intention. And the creatures that lived alongside the aliens moved freely without fear. Elias learned that her people valued balance, observation, and respect for all life. They shared knowledge through symbols, light, and sound, creating a form of communication that was precise, elegant, and deeply intuitive. Elias recorded as much as he could, realizing that this encounter would reshape human understanding of life and intelligence. During the afternoon, the peaceful atmosphere was tested. In the distance, dark figures appeared, approaching the settlement with speed and intent. Elias felt a familiar tension rise in his chest. He recognized the signs immediately. These were outsiders, different from the alien woman's people, possibly aggressive. The alien woman moved beside him, calm but alert. She gestured for Elias to step forward. He did, knowing instinctively that his actions would matter. Humans had a unique ability to remain composed under pressure, to think quickly, and to act with intelligence rather than purely instinct. He relied on these skills now. The approaching figures halted at the edge of the clearing, observing from a distance. Elias raised his hands slowly, palms open, showing peace. The alien woman did the same. He spoke, his voice steady. We mean no harm. We wish only understanding and friendship. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the outsiders lowered their weapons, or what Elias assumed were weapons, and moved closer, their posture cautious. The alien woman observed closely, understanding his words and actions even without speaking. Elias knew that this was the moment when humanity's potential for diplomacy, empathy, and intelligence would be judged. He moved step by step, careful not to appear threatening. The alien woman mirrored his movements subtly, signaling to her people to remain calm. The outsiders studied him, and for the first time, Elias noticed a flicker of curiosity in their stance. His careful approach, combined with calm words and gestures, had begun to influence them. After long minutes of tense observation, the outsiders stepped aside, allowing the alien woman's people and Elias to remain unharmed. Elias felt a wave of relief and pride. This small, careful demonstration of human restraint and intelligence had prevented conflict and earned respect. The alien woman approached him and touched his arm lightly. Elias understood the meaning immediately. Gratitude, trust, and acknowledgement. Together, they had navigated a challenge without violence, showing that cooperation, respect, and understanding could overcome fear and hostility. As the suns began to lower again, Elias and the alien woman led her people to a high plateau overlooking the settlement. From there, Elias could see the full beauty of the alien world. The glowing forests, flowing rivers of shimmering liquid, and crystalline structures that sparkled in the fading light. This is remarkable, he whispered, turning to her. Your world. Your people. It's beyond anything humans have imagined. She responded with a soft hum, tilting her head in acknowledgement. Elias smiled. Words were limited, but understanding was limitless. He realized that true connection did not require speaking the same language. It required empathy, respect, and shared intent. Elias thought of Earth and the humans who would follow in his footsteps. He realized that this experience could change humanity forever, teaching them that exploration was not only about discovering new lands, but about building trust, learning, and connecting with other intelligent beings. As night fell, the forest glowed softly with bioluminescent plants and the reflection of the twin moons in the rivers. Elias and the alien woman sat side by side, observing the serene landscape. The air was filled with the quiet hum of life, a harmony that spoke of patience, intelligence, and care. Elias knew that their work was only beginning. Tomorrow, they would begin a more structured exchange of knowledge. He would teach her people about human technology, culture, and history. She would show him the ways of her civilization, their philosophy, and their understanding of the universe. It was a partnership, built on trust and mutual respect. The alien woman emitted a long, melodic hum, and Elias responded with a soft laugh, the sound echoing gently through the clearing. It was a moment of shared joy, of connection, and of understanding. He realized that this was not just about discovery, it was about friendship, collaboration, and hope. Elias lay back on the soft moss, looking up at the stars. He reflected on the past days, the awe of the forest, the cautious first encounters, the moments of shared understanding, and the tests of patience and courage. Humanity had proven itself capable of respect, intelligence, and empathy. Even in the face of unknown dangers, the alien woman settled beside him, her presence calm and reassuring. Elias felt a sense of peace he had not known in years. Here, on this distant world, he saw the potential of humanity realized. Humans could be explorers, learners, and friends across the stars. As the night deepened, the alien woman gently gestured toward the horizon, where the first hints of a new day were already appearing. Elias understood. Their journey would continue, not just across this world, but across the universe. They would share knowledge, explore together, and strengthen the bond between their species. He smiled at her, a simple gesture, and she responded with a soft hum and a tilt of her head. No words were needed. Understanding had already been achieved. Elias felt a deep sense of hope. Humanity had come far, but this encounter had shown them a new way forward. Not through conquest, not through fear, but through curiosity, courage, and respect. He realized that humans were capable of great things, and that this bond with another intelligent species could inspire generations to come. The night passed, calm and quiet, with the glowing plants casting gentle light across the plateau. Elias and the alien woman remained together, observing the stars and the forest, united in curiosity, trust, and the shared wonder of life. By the time the suns rose again, Elias felt renewed. He was no longer just an explorer. He was a bridge between two worlds, a symbol of humanity's potential to inspire, connect, and grow. The alien woman's presence beside him reinforced the promise of cooperation, of understanding, and of hope for the future. Together, they would continue their journey, not as teacher and student, not as human and alien, but as partners. They would explore, learn, and face challenges together. And humanity's story in the stars would be one not of conquest, but of friendship, courage, and wisdom. Elias whispered softly, as he often did in moments of wonder. So beautiful. This time, the words carried even more meaning. They spoke of the beauty of a world, of life, and of the remarkable possibilities when two species dared to trust each other. The alien woman looked at him, her eyes reflecting light and understanding. Elias smiled. He knew, in that quiet moment, that humanity had taken a first, meaningful step toward becoming more than explorers. They had become friends of the stars. And as the suns rose, illuminating the glowing forest and the shimmering settlement, Elias and the alien woman stood side by side, ready to face whatever the universe would bring. Together,